Hello, parents. I'm Molly Pope. I am an infant and early childhood mental health consultant and a school psychologist. And I've been responding to parents' questions that have come up during this time of quarantine. And today I want to talk about talking to your kids about death. So while we are in unprecedented times, some things about life are continuing as normal, which is birth and death. So if this is something that has touched your family or you just want in your back pocket for when it does touch your family, welcome. There's four things that I really tell parents when they get nervous about talking to their kids about death. The first thing is just to be honest and open. Death is a common theme in children's literature and books and TV, so most kids know what death is, even if they don't fully understand it. And since you don't know how your child will respond, you want to keep your information short and not to overwhelm them. You want to avoid using phrases like grandma's gone to sleep. That suggests that death is something temporary rather than permanent and could also bring up fears or concerns around sleep. And the other thing to keep in mind is they might ask you things you're not quite prepared to answer or you don't have answers for, such as where does grandma go after she dies? And it's okay to say, I don't know for sure, but what I believe is ... So being honest, being open, and keeping your answers short so as not to overwhelm is the first guiding feature. The second thing is to make room for emotion. That kids can't always put language to what their feelings are, so that you can name that this is very sad, and that you can have other outlets other than language to express emotions, whether that's drawing or looking at family pictures, and that you can remind them, those kids who might feel like they're too big to cry, that it is okay to cry about this, that crying is part of how we grieve. The third thing is to keep in mind that kids grieve very differently from adults. They can be very sad and disappointed, and then the next moment be happily playing. And to know that that happy playing could be a defense mechanism that the child has so as not to be overwhelmed, and that's perfectly okay. So children can also have feelings of anger at the person who has died, and that too is normal. The other thing with children and grieving and stress is to just acknowledge and be aware that there could be behavioral regression, such as toileting or bedwetting that could come back up, or baby talk. And just to keep in mind, we don't want to shame kids around behavior. You're too big for this, that we can make space for that and be practical, and know that those skills will come back online when the kid is feeling more secure and kind of through this. But that is part of kind of how they are processing and grieving right now. The last thing I would just encourage parents to be okay showing your own grief. It's okay to be vulnerable in front of your kids if you have lost a parent or loved one. It's okay for them to see you cry, and it lets them know that you love deeply and you feel deeply. And this is important for them to know too. I think the other thing is to give yourself permission to mourn in private. That's very hard right now in this time of everyone being at home, but to close your door, to sit in your car in the garage and grieve in private is okay too. I think mourning together can be very powerful, and it can also be a time that you together can show your kids that you can be hopeful for the future and that things will get better soon, and that you can keep the memory of the person who's passed alive with pictures and with stories and with rituals that your family already has. So I wish you all well. If you do have questions about this, feel free to reach out to me, molly.pope@wpsn.org, and I wish you well.